The Tennessee Titans have now acquired wide receiver Julio Jones from the Atlanta Falcons. The deal is now official. And breaking things down, lead NFL analyst at Pro Football Network, Dalton Miller. Dalton, this was the big move here on Sunday. This was something that was expected to happen between both the Tennessee Titans and the Atlanta Falcons, but now it is official. What is the impact of this move initially for Tennessee acquiring Julio Jones so far?
I mean, this is amazing. I wrote about it when I was writing about the possible landing spots for a trade for Julio Jones. And I really thought that the Titans were kind of, on the outskirts of that. I didn't think that because of their cap situation would be able to get this done. It just goes to show that these front offices in the NFL are so good at manipulating the salary cap and being able to make things fit underneath of it. They lost Corey Davis. They get an upgrade here in Julio Jones.
Massive.
Who played through a strained hamstring for most of the season last year and was still on pace, averaging about 85 yards per game, playing through that injury. If he's healthy, he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL still today. And that gives you, I believe 2 elite wide receivers on this team. And we start to ask, is Arthur Smith really that big of a loss at this point with the addition of Julio Jones? It's kind of that Jimmy and Joe's versus X's and O's conversation that we always see. But super excited to see what this could possibly mean for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, let's look at it from the perspective of the playoffs last year. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Really, the formula for Baltimore was, hey, we'll shut down Derrick Henry. We're going to force Ryan Tannehill to pass the football, which Ryan Tannehill is a damn good quarterback. Yeah. But now, I think when you factor in AJ Brown, how good of a wide receiver he is, now you add Julio Jones. It's unbelievable the talent that they have right now on paper. They arguably have one of the 2 best wide receivers in the league on their team now. So for Ryan Tannehill, what does this do for him? And also, what does this do in terms of taking pressure off of teams stacking the box against Derrick Henry?
Yeah, it's only going to help Derrick Henry's case to become the leading rusher again in 2021. I think that this will give him the opportunity to maybe not have 400 touches in a season. I really think that they can spread the ball out a little bit more, take a little bit of that pressure off of Derrick Henry. So, and I know that Derrick Henry is one of those freak human beings who somehow gets stronger throughout the course of the season at a position that you just don't see that at. But I think that giving him less touches throughout the course of the year will help their playoff case. And man, like I said, I think that, when you talk about the wide receiver duos in the NFL, there's been a lot of talk of it recently, and, the Bucs probably having the best 1-2 punch in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think that this is the best 1-2 punch in the NFL now.
Yeah, it's going to combine that too. But, here's also an angle too. If I'm looking at it from a coach's perspective, how do I go into a matchup against the Tennessee Titans and say, look, okay, they have this workhorse at Derrick Henry. They also have these 2 studs at wide receiver in Julio and AJ Brown. I can't risk playing one-on-one coverage against either of those 2 receivers, but I also can't risk not taking guys out of the box to help counteract the threat that they are as receivers. What do you do in this situation as a coordinator? It feels like your hands on paper, at least hypothetically, are tied.
Yeah, you kind of got to pray, honestly. What do you want to do? It's a passing league. So yeah. You want to be able to take away the pass. You want to be able to get guys out of the box. But Derrick Henry can run, at 6 or 7 yards per carry if you're going to give him those light boxes. I think that teams are most likely to begin the season going to try to play one-on-one coverage, try to play a lot of single high, continue to stack the box. And if they're just getting bludgeoned by the passing attack, and listen, we've seen they've had a very good, Ryan Tannehill has been, over the past 2 seasons, the best play action passer in the NFL. I don't see how that gets any worse bringing Julio Jones into the fold. You have Derrick Henry there. You have a good offensive line. I really like this football team, Cody.
Do you think that right now, how does it put them in the AFC? We factor in Kansas City, obviously the perennial favorite right now to remain at the top so far until proven otherwise. But where does this put Tennessee against teams that were in the playoffs last year?
It's going to be difficult because they did lose a little bit on the back end when it comes to their secondary. So it'll be interesting to see how they are going into 2021 defensively. I think that they're going to have to change up their approach a little bit. I think that most likely if they're going to compete in the AFC, they are going to have to kind of keep up with some of these teams that can run these track meets like Kansas City, for instance. So I think that they're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive offensively. I think that they're going to have to lean on the shoulders or the right arm of Ryan Tannehill a little bit more to keep up with teams, but they're still going to want to play that ball control style and slow teams down. So I think all this does is make them more efficient offensively and be able to, if they need to, in these track meets, keep up.
Well, now we're transitioning to the Atlanta Falcons because this move impacts them. Obviously, they're losing one of their best wide receivers in team history history. And now Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts enter this season really as the offensive focal points. Mike Davis at running back. But first off, how does the loss of Julio Jones impact the Atlanta Falcons this season and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, they probably weren't going to be a very good football team this year anyways. I know that they do have some offensive talent. They have, thrown a bunch of assets at that defense recently, but they still don't have that one go-to guy when it comes to the defensive secondary. They don't have that guy at pass rusher either. It's tough to see this team, winning a bunch of games this year. They are in a full rebuild mode at this point, and that's fine. The issue with that is you still have Matt Ryan. You still are going to be able to put up some points offensively. How many games are they going to be able to lose? Are they going to be able to get their quarterback of the future in this next draft, or will they go another year with Matt Ryan into the future? There's so many question marks because of Matt Ryan's contract. It'll be interesting to see where they go in the future and if they are able to get a quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Well, when I look at the wide receiver core too, Calvin Ridley dealt with some injuries last year as well, but he becomes the top option in terms of Matt Ryan's favorite passing attack. How can they utilize Kyle Pitts? Do you see them utilizing him as an inline tight end, or do you see them now with the departure of Julio Jones, maybe lining him up on the outside or inside the slot at times?
Well, I mean, he's definitely athletic enough, and I think that they also have Hayden Hurst, I think that they can run a lot of 12 personnel, and out of that 12 personnel, they can line Kyle Pitts up as the traditional X receiver with you have Calvin Ridley there playing the Z. I think that that's probably where he best fits, and it can get you some really nice matchup issues offensively to put Kyle Pitts, because any cornerback is too small for him. Most safeties aren't going to be able to keep up with him in man-to-man coverage. I think that a lot of teams are going to have to double him. But Calvin Ridley is one of the better wide receivers and most underrated wide receivers in the National Football League. He's not one of the flashy wide receivers that are going to go up and get the football. That's going to be what Kyle Pitts is used for. But he's somebody who can route defenders up, get open through his route running. And I think that this is still a good offense with Mike Davis as well. I don't think that there's going to be enough firepower to make up for the lack of defensive top tier talent.
Great analysis from PFN's lead NFL analyst Dalton Miller. And Falcons fans and Tennessee Titans fans, in the comment section down below, let us know how you feel about the respective move of Julio Jones leaving Atlanta, and then for Titans fans, the addition of Julio Jones, what it means for the team. How excited are you? Let us know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pro Football Network.